we go. Okay, so a genome map is basically just looking at the DNA. It's comparing DNA, okay? Comparing DNA, some scientists have compared the DNA of a hedgehog and a sloth. What do these DNA comparisons, genome maps, allow the scientists to determine? So by looking at the DNA between the the sloth and the hedgehog, what can we determine? Can we determine the color patterns of their offspring? Can we determine how much the size ranges differ? Can we determine the method of protein synthesis, or can we determine how closely related they are? Say it louder. That's right. We can tell how closely related they are, right? If you have the same DNA, you're obviously very closely related. Now, are you going to have this? Is your DNA going to be more similar to your brother and sister than it is to your fourth cousin? I mean, yeah, right? Yeah. So, yeah, DNA, comparing DNA tells you how closely related you are. Spoiler alert, most of these answers are going to be talking about finding out how closely related things are. That's kind of the whole point of studying evolution, is to find out where we came from. Okay. Which organism is the least related to the other three? So one of these four organisms is less like the other three. These are amino acid sequences for each one. Now, if you don't remember what that is, just know that this is a protein. Obviously, if these proteins are the same, then their DNA is the same, because remember, DNA makes proteins, right? That's its one job, is to make proteins. So if their proteins are the same, their DNA is the same. If their DNA is the same, they're closely related. So which one of these four has a protein sequence that is different, more different than the other three? Look at the order that these things are in. Look at the vertical columns. Which one, let's start with this one. Do any of the four have the first one in common? No. Do any of the four have the second one in common? Yeah, which ones? 1, 3, and 4. So what about the third one? Who has the third one in common? 3 and 4. Who has the fourth one in common? 1, 3, and 4. Which one did we not really mention at all about having anything in common with the other ones? Well, no, 3 and 4 are very closely related. Look at that. They both end in LSG. LSG. This one is L and G. They have that in common. But which one doesn't have many in common? 2, right? There you go. So don't let that question freak you out. It's just a matching game. That's all it is. The occurrence of the same amino acid sequence in digestive proteins, it's the same thing as what we're talking about here, amino acid sequences that make up proteins. Remember, that just means they have the same DNA or similar DNA. In 2 morphologically unrelated species provides evidence that these 2 species, what? Morphologically, that means they look the same. They're built the same way. Okay? Just think of like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You guys know that? Yeah. When they morph, they're changing their appearance. Okay? So if they are morphologically unrelated, that means that their appearance is unrelated. They look different. In layman's terms, they look different. So, but if they look different, but they have similar DNA, what is that evidence of? That they occupy the same niche? That they have analogous structures? That they descended from a common ancestor? Yes. Once again, like I said, spoiler alert, most of this stuff, the answers to all these questions are basically finding out who you're related to, how closely related you are, where are y'all at in the family tree. All right, here's some more animals we got here. We got Bactrian camels, dromedaries, which look like camels, but are a little different. Llamas, which don't really look like camels, but kind of, they don't have humps. And alpacas, which kind of look like llamas. They all kind of look the same, right? They're kind of just weird. They kind of look like me. Long legs, weird body, long neck, kind of goofy looking in the face. Okay. Maybe a little humpback when I get older. I'll look more like a camel. But my point is they all look similar, but not really. But they do have some things in common, like they have two toes, they don't have hooves, they have true canine teeth, sharp pointing teeth, and a split upper lip. You ever seen like a camel's lip, how it's split in the middle? You ever seen that? And the lip kind of does like this. It's kind of weird looking. So a camel has, I think a camel has one hump and a dromedary has two, I want to say. But anyway, or I might have, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think camels have one, dromedaries have two. But anyway, but they're all in the same family. And these physical features in this family provide evidence that all of these animals, what? Live in the same type of ecosystem? Well, no, alpacas actually are more of like a rainforest animal. You ever seen Emperor's New Groove? You haven't seen it? It's an old Disney movie, Emperor's New Groove. He turns into an alpaca or a llama. I think he turns into a llama. Yeah, he's a prince. Yeah, and he turns into a llama or alpaca. I can't remember. It's one of the two. But my point is that they don't necessarily all live in the desert. Okay, so it's not F. They have slowly evolved to become herbivores. We don't. That's not necessarily. That doesn't apply here. They have a common ancestor. Yeah. Again, this is very simple. If they're closely related, they have a common ancestor. If they have similar DNA, they have a common ancestor. And the more similar they are, the more closely related they are. All right, this one is a little tricky, but I'm going to walk you through it, okay? All right, so researchers are studying these lizards. The table shows the number of differences in this protein between the species of lizards. Let's break this down simply. The higher the number, the more different they are. Okay? Big number means big difference. Small number means small difference. Okay? Between the two different species. So the way you read this is you look at this species on top, and if you want to compare it to another species, you look for that species on the side. So if you want to compare this to this one, you'd look here. Right, and that's a big difference, but not as big as the other ones. Right? All these other ones are even bigger. Yeah. So anyway, which conclusion about the relatedness of the lizards does the data support? We just have to do process of elimination on this. So let's start with A. Atlantica and Stellini are least closely related. Let's find Atlantica and Stellini on the left. Or actually, there's nothing there. So let's find Atlantica on the left and Stellini on the right. Here it is. Atlantica, Stellini. What's the difference there? 36. Are they the least closely related? Remember, bigger number means bigger difference. They are not the biggest difference. All right. G. simoni and bravoana. Simoni and Bravo. Let's look for Simoni and Bravo. Here's Simoni, and where's Bravo? There. Ooh, they only have 4 different. Low number, low difference. They are very closely related, aren't they? What does B say? That they are the most closely related? Yes. I don't see any number on this table that's lower than 4. Do you? Nope. That means that they have the bigger differences. So the bigger number means bigger difference. Small number means small difference. So this means that these two are very similar. And I don't see any other number on this chart that's less than 4. So of all the animals on this table, those two are the most closely related, which is what B says. So that is the answer. That's a tough one. I don't know how you were supposed to know how to even read that table without having some help. It would have taken a while, but that's why you got me, kid. All right, we've only got 4 more minutes. Got to hurry. Which statement about the ancestry of the lizards is best supported by this information? Well, let's find out what the information is. They found 3 species of lizards on these islands. The easternmost island is the oldest, and the westernmost island, El Hierro, is the youngest. So here is the oldest island, and here is the youngest island. So in what order do you think that these islands formed in? They formed here first, and then they moved west. Okay, that's why the one on the most west is youngest, all right? They started here, and the islands developed this way. Which statement about the ancestry of the lizards is best supported by this information? The common ancestor of the lizards first colonized El Hierro. Did they first colonize the youngest island? Does that make sense? No, does not. Ancestors of each species came from different continents. There's no way for you to tell that based on this picture. The common ancestor of the lizards probably came from Africa. So all these lizards are closely related. They're different, but they're close. And they all started here and moved west. So where do you think they were before they were here? Even further east in Africa, right? So it's C. Why? Just because we know A is not right, we know B is not right, and we know D is not right, because D says that they were evolved in Spain and brought to the islands at the same time by people. Like, there's no way to tell that by this picture, right? So if nothing else, you can use process of elimination. That one was a pretty tough one, I know. But you might have something like this on the test. All right. Based on the geographical features, which 2 species are likely to have the most recent common ancestor? Of course, there's no way you can know for sure, but just based on this picture, which one is most likely to have the most recent common ancestor? It's going to be whichever species are not divided by a big geographic boundary, like a mountain range or a river or an ocean. 1 and 2 have mountains. That's mountains right there. So there's mountains between 1 and 2, so probably not them. 2 and 3, there's a giant river between them, so probably not them. 4 and 3, good. 4 and 3, yep, there's nothing in between them. There's no geographic boundary. So that is it. Just in time.